We're back. We're going to get that video updated, David. Don't worry. But season 3 of Nuts and Bolts is here. Same old Mike, same old Tony, but we got a new co-host joining us for this season. David, you want to introduce yourself to the people, otherwise known on social media as the Instant Replay, but I always thought that handle was dope.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on camera. It's been a busy year, but yeah, I've been a Chargers fan for going on right close to 15 years now, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I love it. Are you still writing for Chargers?
20 years. 20 years since Philip Rivers was drafted, 2004. I've been a Chargers fan.
There you go. I mean, CTE doesn't only just it's not just for NFL guys. Like clearly, beat writers and former military guys can also suffer from CTE.
I jumped out of
Tell the truth.
Who's your favorite player? Philip Rivers?
Oh yeah, of all time, Philip Rivers.
There you go. Good call.
What's your favorite moment?
Are you still writing for whoever?
No, not recently. No. I've taken quite the break from really everything. Buying this house, moving into this house I'm living in now. Been kind of focusing a lot on work, and my daughter started kindergarten. It's just been a busy summer.
Man. That's a big step.
Kindergarten.
That is a big step. Well, we're gonna get into our preview for our Week 1 matchup against the Miami Dolphins. Same thing that we did last year, guys. We're going through and talking about the weather report, injury report, our biggest keys to victory, X Factor players, some bold predictions, and the score prediction at the end. You guys tuned into the live stream or you're tuned in to the replay, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're a Chargers fan, turn on notifications, and help us share the podcast with more Chargers fans. All right, we're going to get into it first with a somewhat new segment. This segment did happen last year. You guys just don't know it because we never actually executed it. But David is our resident weatherman. Even though he lives in Virginia, he's going to give us the weather report for California. So, David, go ahead and let these people know what the weather's going to be like on Sunday. Just assuming. Maybe I could just take a guess at it. 78, sunny?
It's looking like 84.
Okay.
In the morning. And in the afternoon. 84 in the afternoon. 84, partly sunny. Wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour, 1% chance of precipitation. So it's going to be dry. It's going to be dry. It's going to be 8-mile-an-hour winds west by southwest. So it's going to be calm. But it doesn't matter because we got Cameron Dicker.
Yeah, baby. I was telling Tony that we're going to have you do a quick weather report like that every week, and then we're going to clip them all up at the end of the season, how they're the exact same weather report every week.
Yeah, I also need to teach you guys how to execute a bit because you can't step on it by giving the perfect LA weather report to the guy who's going to give the perfect. We play in a covered stadium that's 90 feet underground or whatever. Like it's dug down into a tunnel. There's no wind. There's no rain. There's no lightning. It's just electricity on the field and ass kickings for whoever comes into SoFi.
I mean, I beg to differ, Tony. I've been at games with rain. I've been at games with lightning. Even had games delayed because of lightning.
Yeah, but that was just to try and give the Raiders a chance in Week 4 a couple of years ago. They're just trying to give them a breather.
I think it shook them up more. They're like, oh, my gosh, we just want to get this over with.
It would have been nice if they could have kept Gruden. We would have won that Week 18 game for sure. Coach Bisaccia, he was too much. He was too much for the boys.
Anyways, I'll get us into the injury report here. So for the Chargers, basically nobody. Diane Henley, the rookie linebacker, he is doubtful to play with a hamstring. Chris Rumpf, outside linebacker, he's one of our edge rushers, one of our depth guys. He's doubtful to play with a hammy. But other than that, even J.C. Jackson is off of the injury report for the Chargers. And maybe we could talk about that for a second here. Tony, ecstatic to see J.C. Jackson looking like a full go for this first game?
1,000%. Like I remember after this injury happened, Joe Morley, who is a notorious Raiders fan, and Athir, before it goes on too long, brother, welcome back. We missed you too. as you know, this is the official Aether chat of Nuts and Bolts. Whatever you want, fire away. Questions, comments, concerns. How you been? How's your offseason been? And what Chargers game are you coming to this year? But Joe Morley, the hater raider, came to me with a thing that said J.C. Jackson's career might be in jeopardy. Like, because it was like that kind of a knee injury where they were talking about it. And I was like, man, this sucks, right? Like, you get a young player who's putting together, like his first 4 years is putting together a Hall of Fame-like career. And I'm going to talk more about this later, the amount of potential Hall of Famers on this one roster, because it will not get any better than this, Herbert or Staley. The roster will never be better than it is at this moment in time with Justin Herbert at quarterback. I believe that. But I saw that, and then you start seeing these reports like J.C. Jackson's like, he's running again. He's doing this. He's doing, and you're like, is this dude, he's just that different. He's just that strong and that capable. Like, I would still be in a wheelchair. And now, granted, that's probably why I'm 40 and overweight and my sports career is way behind me. This man, to be back this fast is incredibly impressive, and I can't wait to see him on the field on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped, too, to see 27 back out there. I mean, we saw him get hurt right in front of us, and it felt like my heart was being ripped out of my chest just staring at that. And, of course, it was an injury-filled first couple of games leading up to that already. But, David, thoughts on JC's return to the field?
Yeah, I'm pumped just like Tony, and I'm impressed. I didn't think he was going to come back this soon, and I saw those same reports saying that his career might be over, and I was, for a little bit, I was convinced that would be the case. I thought maybe his career might be over. Maybe they would try to get him on the field this year, but he would be in and out of the lineup, and then eventually he'd just wash away from the lineup eventually. But I'm so happy he's out there. I don't know how much he's going to play on Sunday. Hopefully the whole game. I don't know if they're going to try to ease him into the lineup again, but I'm excited to see him play and see Waddle not catch anything.
He's a good matchup for whoever lines up outside. They don't have to necessarily have Mikey Davis chase receivers around all day. They can piece it together and make it work. But yeah, he tore his patellar tendon. And the reason I know what that tendon is because it's the same injury I had, except for I dislocated my patellar and he tore it in half. So I can only imagine how bad that was, how bad the rehab was getting back to that. I mean, I'm 9 months out from a dislocation and still working back. So, props to JC. Kudos to the training staff that he worked with to get back on the field, ready for week one. I'm excited to see him as well. All right, let's get to the Miami injury report because Aether is already spoiling it for me in the chat here, talking about how Teron Armstead is going to be out. And he said that Tully and Bosa are going to expose, but I think Khalil Mack's going to get in on that as well. But the Dolphins injury report here, we got cornerback JC Jackson, I almost said it again. Cornerback Jalen Ramsey, obviously with a knee. He's out for like the first 8 to 10 weeks of the season. Tackle, Teron Armstead was ruled out today. He's dealing with a back, ankle, and knee. That's not a great start to the season for a left tackle that is very vital to protecting Tua all year. Cornerback Justin Bethel, one of their depth guys who would be filling in some spots for Jalen Ramsey possibly. He's questionable to play with the knee. Cornerback Elijah Campbell is also out with the knee. And tight end Julian Hill, a depth tight end, blocking tight end. He's got an ankle. He's questionable to play in this game. Teron Armstead is obviously the key injury here. We knew about Jalen Ramsey already before. But, Tony, go ahead and talk about your thoughts on them being down their left tackle. And their right tackle just isn't great.
So is Jalen Waddle's not on the report anymore?
No, Jalen Waddle was full participant for the second straight day today.
Good. Okay, because I want as little excuses as possible in this game. Like, I really do wish that Teron Armstead was playing in this game because I also want to see. I believe Staley's defense is going to reach the peaks that people thought was going to happen in year one, right? And it's like, just like any fan, I have irrational, crazy thoughts where, like, after bad games or bad calls, I'm like, everybody needs to be fired, and I do whatever. But if you really take time to step back, like, what he's done in his first 2 years is extremely impressive, and now everything's in place. Last year, things got ruined by injury, but the first 6 quarters of the game, just imagine if they can have that for, like, 15, 16, 17 games, and that being healthy going into the playoffs. Like, that will be insanely good. And I think that what is going to happen, you'll see it reflected in my my score prediction for this game, is that like this is going to be like people going, well, they were down Teron Armstead, right? Like this is why they were able to get to Tua relentlessly the entire game, because they didn't have the pieces. And it's like, no, even if he was in the game, this defensive line was still going to ruin their day. They're going to be stealing lunch money. Take your tuna fish dolphin sandwiches back with you on the airplane. They're going to be fresh. Check the date. Get out of here.
Yeah, and like the key really is just Joey Bosa. We lost him in week 2 of last year with Rashawn Slater, by the way. But people forget that Joey Bosa didn't play defense for the Chargers last year. And that is a large difference in the pass rush quality and the amount of time quarterbacks are going to have. Kyle Van Noy was cooking up Teron Armstead last year. Just saying. Kyle Van Noy put in some work against this offensive line.
That spin move that he hit, that was like in slow motion where he hit it.
Yeah. Kyle Van Noy with a sack. But David, what do you think the impact on the game of losing Teron Armstead is here for the Dolphins?
So I understand where Tony's coming from. You got to beat the best to be the best. And there's time for that. Right now, it's week 1. We've been going on however long without Chargers football. I'm happy that Teron Armstead is sitting this one out so we can just watch Joey Bosa eat all night long. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later too with my bold predictions, but I'm just so excited. I want as big of a blowout as possible. We got Chargers football back. I want to get excited. I want to be out of my seat the whole time. I want to be screaming. I want to be yelling. I want to attempt to do a backflip, or at least think I can do a backflip. I'm just so excited that Teron Armstead is gone for this game, and we get to watch. I think Athir said it. Tuli, his whatever his last name is. We get to watch him work as well.
Tui Pelotu. Pelotu. There you go. I can't wait for next week, David. We're gonna need video of that when we cut to David for the weather report, and he's like, "It's 78 at kickoff." With a slight wind, and he's just in a full body brace because he tried to do a backflip at 35. Terrible, my friend. I have no idea how old you are.
That's close. It's close.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great right there. Yeah, and that's what I'm excited to see as well. I was just thinking they're probably going to be using the running backs. They're probably going to be using the tight ends. They're going to be using every trick in the book to try and chip these edge rushers and slow us down. But usually you can't do it to both. In most formations, you can't do it on both sides. You would have had to pick a side. I assumed with Teron Armstead, they would have went with the right side, went after Mack or Bosa, whoever is there. But now they have to try and pick, like, who are you going to help out? Are you going to help out the backup left tackle or the backup quality right tackle? Good luck. That's all I'll say.
Derwin James is following right behind him.
I know, right? And Derwin James is also going to be coming off the edge on certain formations, and that's its own problem you have to deal with, even with starters. All right, let's go to our keys to victory here for the Chargers. I'll let you go ahead and go first, David, on this one.
So I have a couple. I won't say a whole bunch of them, but these two are the biggest ones. And one of them just came to me as I was actually just watching the new episode of All In right before this. But the first one is controlling the line of scrimmage. Not only in the trenches, not only in the run game or stopping the run, but bullying those wide receivers on the line of scrimmage. That's one thing that we did last year when we played these guys very well. And I know this is a new team. I feel they worked all off season too, but the Tua didn't change. Tua is still Tua. And if you can throw off his timing, that's going to have a big effect on him. And that goes with coming off the edge and getting to the quarterback as well as bullying those wide receivers. And then my other one, I'm stealing this from Antonio Gates. I don't know if you guys seen the All In episode yet, but finishing everything, finishing plays, finishing blocks, finishing tackles. One thing that the Chargers did very well, or not that they did very well. One thing that they improved on this year was shoring up the inside of the middle of the field. Brandon Staley was notorious for his first couple of seasons for not caring about the linebacker position, and I think it showed in that run defense. And bringing in Eric Kendricks, who's one of the better run defenders and off-the-ball linebackers in the league, was a huge addition, and I'm really excited to see him.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm not sure that there's another thing where it's like Staley didn't care about linebacker. It's like he inherited a roster and he made the best of it. And I think that like probably the best years that Kaiser White will have and Drew Tranquill will have will be in this defense. And they both played really well. It's just the idea of what that position is becoming something that most teams don't value.
Yeah.
Like they're not putting a ton of resources towards that. It's not just our team.
It's kind of like the running backs, kind of running back movement. But yeah, to go with the Antonio Gates theme, my key to victory was that the Chargers start this game off fast. This should be the key to victory for the Chargers all year long. We're going to be high flying. We're going to attack the secondary, obviously. And yes, they're going to get in their rushing plays, and they're going to get in everything else that they need to get in to keep this offense as balanced as possible. But we know what it's about. It's about number 10. It's about what Kellen Moore can do with number 10. Let's go up by 10 to start this game and keep Miami out of a running situation in the second half.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, that's kind of like one of the things we talked about last year was like, why does Herbert always, and like everything, they need to get to the point where they're down 10, down 14, and then all of a sudden they strike. I think that could be different this year. For me, the biggest key is that halftime adjustment is coming out. And we heard that he mentions this in the All-In episode too, is focusing on that middle eight, how you finish the first and how you start the second half, like setting tones and like really just imposing your will. And I think that like when they come out this year, whether they're kicking or receiving, like it should come out in the second half. Like we didn't like, did they even go in and take a break? Like these guys are just so ready to go. Like they just had an orange slice and got back out there and beat the shit out of who's ever in front of them, whether that's offensively or defensively, it doesn't matter. And one of the things that I would like to see in that second half adjustment is like, did you not only like maybe set some stuff up early in the first half of the game that you can just go and deploy right away to start that right there offensively, but then also defensively, Staley, like when they come back out in the second half, because I think that we saw it didn't look like any adjustments were made in the Jaguars game. Like it just was like, hey, everything's working. We don't like, they're not going to switch anything up. Now, granted, there were that Michael Davis injury kills me, and I will die on this hill that if Michael Davis doesn't get injured in the second half of the Jags game, it's a different story. But like they make a couple adjustments at halftime that are needed there, and it's like, oh wait, they couldn't do anything in the first half. Now they ain't doing shit in the second half either. Ball game.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing that hopefully the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator changes can bring to the team. Because that's really what it was with Lombardi. The biggest thing with Lombardi, it felt like teams were figuring out our offense by halfway through the second quarter. And they were figuring out what the goals were and what we were trying to do. And obviously it was way too passive, and you can keep going down the list. I also think if we had Mike Williams for that game, it's a different story as well, a completely different story. But yeah, so I'm excited to see that, Tony. I'm excited to see 4 quarters, that pressure on, that attack mentality from the coordinators, the play calling, and the players in the field. We need to see
well,
it.
Staley said something.
I was about to say, just these third quarter dead periods are killing me. It's been like 3 years of this now.
In All In, Mike, and I don't know if you had a chance to watch it yet, Staley says he's like, the thing that him and Kellen had in common was that like he wants to snuff them out. He's like, oh, we're up by 4, we're up by 7. No, I want to be up by 10. I want to be up by 14. It's like, thank you. That's exactly what we want as fans. Like the thing is like, I'm okay with you being aggressive and a mistake being made if you were going for victory, right? Like there are points where it's like, hey, we're at the 50, we're taking a shot, and it's the smart thing. Oh, there's an interception on a ball. Well, I want Herbert to take that shot downfield, and the other team might make a great play. But more often than not, I think that's going to end up being a success as opposed to an error. Like, just keep going, like going with that mentality where it's like, oh no, sure enough, our 4 points is good enough for our defense, 7 points, but you know what's better? 10, 14, 17. Like, I want them acting like they have to play for an NCAA ranking. That's what I want this year, Mike. I want them going, hey, we're trying to get to the national championship game. We need style points in these victories.
I mean, especially – go ahead.
I was gonna say, as long as they're all not just running stick routes, like all your last
thing. Get the ball downfield, man. This weapon core and the quarterback, they're meant to be high flying. They're meant to be throwing the ball past 20 yards often and aggressively. And that's something that the Chargers offense has lacked. And I think it's held back Justin Herbert a lot too. Like, I just think in his own mind, he's been thinking, make the smart play, hit my read when the read is open. But dude, you're an elite quarterback in this league. You have the freedom to come off the read and go. Like, for example, there's a play, and this is Matthew Stafford isn't even on Justin Herbert's level at this point in time, in my opinion, at least. But a play a couple years ago, Matthew Stafford hits Cooper Kupp over the middle to send the Bucs home and, virtually retire Tom Brady. But that play, I saw Sean McVay break it down, do like a little film study. He said this is why we traded for Stafford, because that was not Stafford's first read. And Stafford's first read was wide open. Stafford mid-play read the coverage and said, I got a shot at this, and took it. So that's the kind of stuff we want to see out of Herbert this year.
But that's that comes with experience, Mike. Like, and that is what I think we're getting from Herbert this year, is where that step comes up, where it's like, hey, I've seen enough of this stuff like on a regular basis, and now I can get there, right? When you hear Keenan and Mike talk about what it was like to play with Phillip Rivers, they're like, he ran everything. He ran every meeting because he was essentially a coach. And Herbert he's such a nerd. He will get there, which will take him to that next level. But that's the difference. You have a guy like Jimmy G even knows football, NFL football, better than Herbert, but he's never going to have that talent, and he's never going to have that same ability.
Yeah, and that's really what I hope Kellen Moore kind of lets him loose. And being a former quarterback himself of recent years, knowing what it's like to be in an NFL offense recently, like the quarterback doesn't need to be so cookie cutter. It doesn't need to be hit my read every single time. Like, let's go for it. You know what I mean? You have the ability and the freedom to take over games when you want to. Anyway, should we get on to the X Factor players here? You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right, David, who you got for X Factor player?
It was hard for me to pick one. I'm just going with the edge rushers, Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. My big thing in the key to victory is throwing off Tua's timing, and getting to him multiple times is going to do that. He's not going to be able to see Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill is going to be getting bullied by Mike Davis. He's not going to be able to see Jalen Waddle because Khalil Mack's going to be in his face. We need to get to the quarterback. We need to get to him often, and I think that's going to be the big X factor. That's what's going to allow our offense to continue going and their offense to sputter out.
Wholeheartedly agree. I mean, it's going to be a race. Can we get to Tua before Tua can get the ball to Tyreek? Can we get to Tua before Tyreek can break open into some space in the field? That's going to be the race all game long.
Yeah. That is what makes it so much fun to watch, is like, who's going to win that? Like, I think the one great thing is in week one, the coverage should be there. Like, you have the best, like, as best as our secondary is going to be in this week one.
Who knows? Miami might start fumbling on purpose and just be like, someone pick the ball up and run with it.
That's how they get those easy points like they did last year.
I'll go next with my X factor on this one. I put a combo of Justin Herbert and Kellen Moore, but I have Kellen Moore here as my X factor. I know he's a coach, he's not a player, but I really just want to see 4 quarters of just a clinic against this Miami defense. I personally think that their secondary is very weak. A lot of Dolphins fans think they have like this all-world secondary, but minus Jalen Ramsey, I feel like I take all of our receivers in a matchup with Xavier Howard and the rest of the depth chart down. So they're going to have a lot of freedom to execute and use everything that they love to use throughout training camp. And I'm sure that the Chargers wide receivers are just drooling. They're ready to get these big plays rolling after that entire year of running hitch route after hitch route after hitch route. I mean, Keenan Allen was talking about it in an interview. I want to say it was on NFL Network, how the biggest thing and his favorite thing about Kellen Moore is how much they have him running routes down the field. He's not just running these little short routes. He is running real routes, corners, post corners, digs, outs, everything in this offense, and that's what I want to see most. I think Kellen Moore's play calling is and what we get out of it in week 1 is an X factor in this one. But go ahead, Tony. Your turn.
Put a Thiers on there because this is mine right here.
Ooh.
Joshua Kelly.
Joshua Kelly. And now here's the reason why I have him as the X factor in the game. Because I was going to say Joshua Kelly has more than 50 yards rushing in the fourth quarter, and that is the sign of the Chargers putting the game away, right? Is like, can you get to the point where you're bringing in Josh Kelly and I already think Eckler is going to be sensational in the first half of this game, like especially to slow down the pass rush, which I think is one of Miami's strong suits that we don't talk enough about. Is like, although I did hear that they're not loving what they're seeing from Emmanuel Akba or whatever the other pass. Like I think they have another pass rusher there, so they got Chubb and Phillips who are really good. I think that's the strong suit. If you're going to neutralize that a little bit, let's see this run game that they've been talking about like crazy be deployed. But the real X factor, fourth quarter, can we see Josh Kelly out there just on a tired defense, smashing them 7, 15-yard gains, getting up and just still like, hey, give me the rock again. Like, I can handle it. I'm 220 pounds. I gave up Raising Cane's for this. I'm ready to run some motherfuckers over. Like, let's go.
If Josh Kelly has 100 yards rushing in this game and Austin Eckler has 100 total yards in this game, I am going to be crowning the Chargers as Super Bowl champions. If we have an elite run game and this passing attack, who is stopping us? No one. The best defense in the league won't stand a chance.
That's the plan. Like, that really is like, I told you, Mike, I wanted to make nuts and bolts this year into the ultimate gas 'em up, hype, pep rally show. And I want all Chargers fans going into all 21 games or 20 games, however many they play this year, believing that this team is unfreaking stoppable and watching it with that same mindset that goes, nothing bad can happen to this team because it's loaded everywhere.
Well, for bold prediction, Tony, I have Justin Herbert going over 400 all-purpose yards. So there you go. Let's gas him up. Week 1 against the Miami defense that's got a great secondary and Vic Fangio, Herbert cooks him up for 400 yards. 55 rushing or 45 rushing and 350 passing.
Yep, I'm with it. I'm 1,000. That's one of the reasons why I drafted Herbert in every redraft league this year. I went 4 for 4 in redraft leagues drafting Herbert because I think he's going to run the ball for probably about 500 to 600 yards this year, and it's going to make him QB1. I mean, that to go along with 50 touchdown passes.
Wait, what about your dynasty leagues?
I only have one dynasty league, and the douchebag who has him won't trade me for anything. I've offered my entire squad for him, and this guy is he's the worst human being you could ever meet. He's a terrible, terrible person.
Sounds like a tool to me. David.
He is. He's young. He's cocky. He's like, oh, my TikTok's super popular. Oh,
Sports Illustrated. Anyways.
What a douche.
David, bold prediction.
So this is not only my bold prediction for this game, but my bold prediction for the year. Keenan Allen is going to have a career year at 31 years old. He's going to go for double-digit touchdowns, 10 to 12, 14 if you want, and 1,500 plus yards. I think this game he starts off hot, has 12 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
You dig? Right there. I love it.
You dig?
I'm in. I'm 1,000%.
You went off against Miami last time.
I saw a stat this offseason that it was like, I can't remember the amount of weeks, but once Keenan Allen got back into the roster, it was a fantasy stat, but he was the wide receiver 3 for the rest of the season when you add all his stats up.
Fantastic.
He cooks.
And I really think that he can, right? Like, he's going to be all over the place. He's going – you can't really double him, and I don't even necessarily know that you would need to. So, like, there you go. Let it happen. And I want to see him because he's really close to, like, a lot of records and a lot of thresholds. And this is where I'm going to veer off for a second and flap my gums way too much. But when I was talking about this being the greatest roster ever, like they literally have like 7 potential Hall of Famers on one roster. Like in the careers, like Mac, Bosa with a couple of good seasons could be there. And I'm not saying they're definite, but I'm saying guys that could put together Hall of Fame careers. And you got Derwin James on one side, you got Keenan Allen on the other. Like there are a lot of players on this one team, and obviously I've already put Herbert into the Hall of Fame. I did that week 2 or whatever it was, his rookie season. But I think like with this amount of talent on one roster, it cannot be anything less than just complete domination every second, every snap that you possibly can. And then you have all those other guys in there that nobody ever talks about. They're like, well, who do the Chargers have here? Oh, Morgan Fox is way better than you think that he is. Way better than you even know that he is. Okay. What am I giving out? I got lost track. I got myself so excited.
Bold prediction.
Here it is. It is the guy that the reporters can't stop asking about. They cannot stop saying, how's this guy tackling? Have you noticed anything different? JT Woods is getting a big-time fourth quarter interception. He's going to be so excited. He's going to chuck the ball in, and he's going to get like a 15-yard penalty, like for unsports. Like the ball, he's just going to fire the ball into the stands. I think that there's an opportunity when they're throwing the ball, if they get desperate enough, there's going to be some floaters in the fourth quarter of this game, and we're going to get to see this guy have a little razzle-dazzle at the end, show off the speed, cut across the field, and catch one of these. There it is.
Tua's underthrown balls.
Yeah, Tua does do a lot of effort. Jalen Waddle and Hill are down there somewhere. Let's just throw this thing up. That happens often.
Like I'm in Miami right now.
Unfortunately, it works out for him. Oh, yeah, and good thing it's not in Miami. I feel like it would probably be 100 degrees if this game was in Miami.
Yeah, it would. It's really tough. Like, I watched the Patriots when they've had teams, this is, Mike, maybe before your time, that were, like, unstoppable, and then they'd get down there and they'd go play Miami. And you'd be like, wait, this Miami team is like 4-9. How are they losing? Oh, it's because it's just a weird October day where it's like humid 95 degrees.
They're just melting out there.
Yeah.
It's puddles.
Like it's Christmas time almost, but like you see everybody on the Patriots and they're just dying.
It's also raining in Miami on Sunday.
Oh my gosh, 90-degree rain. It's raining fireballs.
Miami rain is like one of the funnest things. It's like a warm shower outside.
It poured when I was in Tampa when we were on the beach, and it was like warm water, actual warm water coming from the sky. All right, let's get to the score predictions here. Athir dropped his. Oh, by the way, Athir dropped his bold prediction. He has Thule getting 2 sacks and a forced fumble on each sack. That would be awesome if our rookie edge rusher came out and did something like that. I do
think that this door opened up with the Rumpf injury because I think that Rumpf is kind of the guy that gives breaks, and now all of a sudden you bump him up. If they're trading off, he's going to get some pass rush reps against some guys that don't look great. And we saw what he did to Trevor Penning, put him on skates and was like, see you later, buddy.
Yeah, I'm really stoked to see the depth, man, across the entire field, not just at edge rusher. Like a lot of this stuff. And Keenan Allen and Mike Williams can't really be avoided. It was really early on in the year when these guys got hurt. Joey Bosa obviously got hurt early on in the year. But you can keep these guys healthy by just having depth like this. All right, their score prediction was 31-17. What are you thinking, Tony?
Thinking 35-10. Like, I want to see a ton of touchdowns, lots of Cameron Dicker trotting out there for extra points. I mean, we could throw on a field goal and make it 38-10. I'm okay with that. But I'm already drinking too much by then. I'm already celebrating. I'm already calling my friends. Did you see this new Super Bowl Chargers team that we got out here in week 1? Just total overreaction. But I'm going big, 35-10 in this game. The kind of statement game where I get to wake up and Good Morning Football is like, how about them Chargers? Let's talk about the Chargers for 45 minutes this morning. Love it.
Already AFC champions after week 1. David, what you got for score prediction?
I like the big gap, Tony. 38-10. I'm going a little bit tighter, but still 2 touchdowns. 38-24. That's my prediction.
Yep.
And the field goal comes at the very end. Like you said, Staley just wants to keep going up. They're just going to kick it just to kick it.
Yeah.
We're already going to be up 10 points. 11
I got
points.
a similar 35-21, but go ahead, Tony. 35-21 from me.
Nope, I love it. I love everybody giving double-digit victory here at home. Big statement win. I like David's idea of him being like, hey, let's call a timeout. Should we go for this? Should we really try to make this a 21-point game and like really make a statement out here? Like, and they're like, hey, psycho, calm down. He's like, I'm focused. I'm tired of all of these people in the media trashing me. I'm going to show you what it's all about, because he is focused. And I talk about this all the time with everybody. He gets such a hard time. He's 19-15. And everybody's like, oh, just because he has Justin Herbert, they should have won a Super Bowl already. That's not how that's not how winning football is built. You do have to start a process and build and win. And the team had not a ton of talent. They got more talent. Then a lot of it got injured. And they still went 10-7. The guy's doing a great job. He is. I don't care what you say. I don't care.
I can't be negative on this show. I was about to say, how much do you guys think that the Chiefs loss motivates him for this game too? Just a couple days prior, you find out that the Chiefs drop one to the Lions. It's like, well, we really can make a serious statement to the entire league right here.
I'm going to say, for me as a fan, I hope that it meant nothing to him. It means a lot to me because it's fun. Yeah. I get to hear people doubt the Chiefs. But as a coach, I hope he was thinking, all we are worried about is week 1 is Miami. I don't even care what the Chiefs are doing until I have to play them. Like, I hope he's that laser focused that he heard about it and he was like, tough break for them. Moving on. Like, I hope he doesn't even it doesn't excite him at all, because he should go, we're going to take care of business. And we were already on the right path. But as a fan, fucking love it.
I'm here for it too.
Staley's taking us 4-0 into the bye.
Let's do it.
Love it.
Let's do it. What is it? Tennessee, Minnesota. What was the 4th game? Raiders? Raiders? Yeah, we can do it.
So back-to-back bye weeks? Is that what I heard?
That's what I heard. That'll probably be my first game this year, that Raider game. All right, y'all. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Athir, shout out for keeping this chat going. Athir wanted me to read this real quick. He's predicting it right now. Bills versus Chargers, week 16 with the number 1 seed on the line. Both divisions already clinched 3 weeks ahead, 3 weeks before the final week of the season. I'm here for that. We had the West clinched in week 16. We don't got to worry about KC in that last game of the season. Anyways, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Athir, appreciate you for loading up our chat here. If you guys are watching the replay to this, please like the video. Please subscribe if you're a Chargers fan. You're not subscribed already. And turn on notifications. We go live once a week, every Friday night in between 4 or 5 p.m., somewhere in that range, depending on how schedules are looking. We'll be back next week with our preview for next week's game against, again, it was Tennessee Titans, right? Next week?
Yep.
Tennessee Titans. I'll do that for the Titans.
So we got Derrick Henry next week. Let's go Chargers. Anything else, Tony, before we go?
No. Welcome to the official pep rally of the Los Angeles Chargers. Hold up,
David.
Hold up. Nope, that's it.
Hold up. Appreciate you guys once again. And let's go get this dub. 1-0.